What is going on, Trash Talkers? We are back with another episode for you. In today's video, we're going to give you our Week 3 predictions throughout the NFL. All that and much more coming your way right now! All right, before we get into today's video, be sure to hit that subscribe button and like the video as it will help us out tremendously. So sit back, relax, and enjoy today's video. All right, Nick, week 2 is in the books. Week 3 is upon us, and we have a lot to get to. Starting off with Thursday Night Football, Nick, talk to us a little bit about this matchup.
Yeah, we got an interesting divisional matchup here. We got the Pittsburgh Steelers taking on the Cleveland Browns. Not the most exciting matchup, but I think with the AFC North the way it is, it's up for grabs, and one of these teams potentially could be at the top of that division. Deshaun Watson coming back soon, and we see that the Cleveland Browns have actually been doing pretty decent in his absence. Jacoby Brissett has been doing very well, and I think that with the Cleveland Browns defense and adding Amari Cooper, what he looks like, Nick Chubb looking great, I just don't think that Pittsburgh stands a chance without TJ Watt on their side. For that reason, to me, the Cleveland Browns should be coming out on top in this matchup.
Yeah, I like the Browns on Thursday night. And kicking off our Sunday slate of games, we start off with the Kansas City Chiefs taking on the Indianapolis Colts. The Colts are not the team that we thought they would be this year, yet the Kansas City Chiefs seem to have gotten better without Tyreek Hill. And honestly, this is going to be a landslide victory. I like the Kansas City Chiefs in this matchup. Not too much to talk about as the running game has gotten going. Patrick Mahomes is still one of the best, if not the best quarterbacks in the NFL. The Colts have not been able to figure it out on either side of the ball. Clearly, Carson Wentz wasn't the issue last season with this team, so we'll see what happens in this one, but I have the Chiefs at least by 6.5.
Next up, we have the Buffalo Bills taking on the Miami Dolphins. This is a very, very exciting divisional matchup. We got two undefeated teams that are facing off. The Miami Dolphins have been a big surprise so far. Tua playing very well, and with Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill really working well in this offense, it's going to be tough to stop without Trey White in that secondary for the Buffalo Bills. To me, this is going to be an offensive shootout on both ends, and it's really going to come down to the end. But to me, the Buffalo Bills are just a little too strong, and I don't know even if a divisional opponent can stop them. I think that the Buffalo Bills will come out on top as the away team, but I will stay away from that spread, and I'll take them at their money line.
Taking a look at the next matchup, we have the Baltimore Ravens taking on the New England Patriots. The Patriots finally getting their first home game, opening it up against the Baltimore Ravens, a team that they have faced many times over the years. And these two teams look a lot different than those previous matchups. And the Patriots coming off of that big victory over the Pittsburgh Steelers. I really like where the Patriots are headed. They have a top 5 defense going right now, shutting opposing offensives down, including that Miami offense that you just talked about, Nick. I really like what the Patriots have been able to do, and they're 3-point dogs at home. I'm taking the Patriots +3 at their spread, and they are taking the victory on Sunday.
Next up, we have the Cincinnati Bengals taking on the New York Jets, and it's not been a very good story so far for the Cincinnati Bengals. They have regressed tremendously. That offensive line is worse than ever, and that secondary is absolutely abysmal. But the New York Jets, however, have found some superstars with their wide receivers, and they're starting to flourish. They're starting to look like the New York Jets could be a contender in the next few years. And I think with the New York Jets being at home and the Cincinnati Bengals secondary as bad as it is, this passing attack should be strong, and I think that the pass rush for the Jets is going to have their way with that offensive line, and the Jets will get yet again another big upset at home.
Talking about divisional matchups that we have this weekend, we have yet another one here. Philadelphia taking on the Washington Commanders. The Eagles coming off of that massive Monday Night Football victory over the Minnesota Vikings. The Eagles look like an absolute juggernaut in the NFL, and as we predicted, Nick, this Eagles team is for real. They have the offensive weapons to go up against anybody. Jalen Hurts looks like an MVP candidate this season, and the Washington Commanders, Yeah, they've looked solid so far, but they have not run into a team that is the buzzsaw of the Philadelphia Eagles. This defense is going to swallow Carson Wentz and Antonio Gibson whole. I do not expect a lot of offensive output from the Washington Commanders. I think this is going to be one of the most lopsided games we have all weekend. I'm taking the Philadelphia Eagles at their -6.5 spread.
Next up, we have the Detroit Lions taking on the Minnesota Vikings. Another divisional matchup, another very interesting divisional matchup. The Detroit Lions have been very surprising so far. Their offensive attack with Jared Goff under center has been very good, and they've been able to really incorporate Amon-Ra St. Brown and DeAndre Swift and get them both a lot of opportunities with the football. The Minnesota Vikings look great in week 1, but they definitely took a step back in week 2, taking on the Philadelphia Eagles. Both these teams having faced the Philadelphia Eagles so far, the Lions had more success, but in this matchup, the Vikings will have more success. They know their opponent, they know where their weaknesses are, and they'll be able to exploit them. I think this is a big bounce back game for the Minnesota Vikings.
Next up, we have the Las Vegas Raiders taking on the Tennessee Titans. The Raiders have been in some close matchups, but have not been able to seal the deal. The Tennessee Titans have looked anemic at best. This is not a Mike Vrabel coach team. I don't know what is going on in Tennessee. The loss of Harold Landry has proven to be massive for this team, and they have not been able to overcome it just yet. The Las Vegas Raiders being competitive in both of the games that they've lost has really shown me that they are just a step away from being able to win these, and they almost took home that Arizona Cardinals game if it weren't for a few missed tackles. Either way, they don't have to deal with Kyler Murray. They don't have to deal with Justin Herbert. Ryan Tannehill is not beating this Las Vegas Raiders team. I fully expect the Las Vegas Raiders to get a notch in that win column this Sunday.
Up next, we have the New Orleans Saints taking on the Carolina Panthers. Now, this isn't going to be a very exciting matchup. The Carolina Panthers are arguably the worst team in the league and definitely have the worst head coach. But nonetheless, the Carolina Panthers defense taking on the New Orleans Saints offense, that's going to be what I'm looking out for in this one. And Jameis Winston, he's banged up. He's not looking that great. Alvin Kamara dealing with his knee injury. I just don't know if this New Orleans offense will be able to handle the pass rush coming from the Panthers. That secondary is strong. There's a lot that's being offered there, and I think that this game will come down to the very end. But at the end of the day, the New Orleans Saints are the better team. They have a lot of veterans, and I think they'll be able to get the job done.
Next up, we have a matchup of two interesting teams. I'll put it very lightly for them. The Houston Texans are a team that has surprised some people with how they played against the Indianapolis Colts and then just laid an egg last week. But either way, the Houston Texans are one of those teams where they can get things going. Davis Mills has looked strong. Brandon Cooks is still his #1 target. We saw Nico Collins really getting into the mix, and obviously, if they can get Dameon Pierce going against this very, very weak defensive line that the Chicago Bears are putting out there, the Houston Texans will be rolling in this game. However, on this other side of the ball, I think Justin Fields is going to be a playmaker that the Houston Texans are going to have fits with all weekend long, and I truly believe that the Chicago Bears have what it takes to win this game. I'm taking the Chicago Bears to get the upset over the Houston Texans.
Up next, we have the Jacksonville Jaguars taking on the Los Angeles Chargers. The Jags really look good in their week 2 matchup. They're starting to take shape, and that defense is for real. They're really stopping their opponent. Now, we don't know if Justin Herbert will be playing in this game with that rib injury, but if he does play, I think this is going to be a very interesting matchup. Mike Williams is there. Keenan Allen should be back for this game as well, and I think this game being in Los Angeles definitely favors the Chargers. But the Jacksonville Jaguars are a sneaky team. They're going to keep it close. And I will be taking the Chargers to win this game, but I'm taking the Jaguars at their +7 spread.
That's a good pick, and another good game that we have this weekend. The Green Bay Packers traveling to South Florida, taking on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and Tom Brady. We have some primetime matchups at the 425 slot, Nick. We have Aaron Rodgers, we have Tom Brady, we have these two incredible teams who we could possibly see in an NFC Championship game, and we get to see it in the middle of a Sunday. It is going to be one hell of a matchup. Taking a look at this, Aaron Rodgers has started to get things going. He got a little more protection with Elgton Jenkins back last week. I really saw a lot more from the running game. I saw a lot more in protection schemes. I think that the Packers are starting to get their momentum on offense. Christian Watson, Romeo Doubs really helping out this offense. On the other side of the ball, Tom Brady's losing wide receivers left and right. Chris Godwin out, Julio Jones not playing. Now we see that Russell Gage is a little slow, and Mike Evans is now suspended for a single game. It is going to be a tough matchup for Tom Brady, as I think he's going to really struggle finding open receivers. Brashad Perriman is being thrust up into his wide receiver 2 spot. Russell Gage will have to be the wide receiver 1 for this game if Mike Evans is not allowed to play, as he is appealing his suspension. So there's going to be a lot of question marks in this one. I'm taking the Green Bay Packers as of right now. I think that they are just the healthier team. They are the better team right now. Tom Brady is going to do everything in his power to will the Buccaneers to a victory, but Aaron Rodgers is going to end up getting the last laugh in this one.
Yeah, that game's not very clear cut, but our next one is the Los Angeles Rams will be taking on the Arizona Cardinals, and divisional games typically have their bit of struggles, and they're normally closer than we expect, but the Los Angeles Rams had a great bounce back game against the Atlanta Falcons. I think that defense is starting to look like themselves. Jalen Ramsey got his mojo back. Cam Akers is finally coming alive, and Allen Robinson is getting into the mix. I think everything is starting to flow for the Los Angeles Rams, and the Arizona Cardinals, they got a fantastic come from behind victory against the Raiders, but they had no reason being a part of that game. They were completely out of it, and the Raiders let them back in. The Rams will not do such. They know how to put their foot on the throats of their opponent and not let up, and I don't expect the Rams to let them come back. The Rams should have a very easy victory in week 3.
Yeah, the Rams almost gave up a 28-3 lead in that game to the Atlanta Falcons, who know a little something about that score and letting leads go. Nonetheless, we have the Atlanta Falcons taking on the Seattle Seahawks, and these two teams are struggling right now. They are not the best versions of themselves. Geno Smith versus Marcus Mariota. I promise you I will not be paying attention to this game all that much, but when it's all said and done, I think the Atlanta Falcons are the much stronger team. The Seahawks defense is definitely good to go, but with Cordero Patterson, Drake London getting into the mix, and now Kyle Pitts being under the microscope, I think he's going to have a really, really strong game against the Seattle Seahawks. I believe that the Atlanta Falcons will get a major upset victory over the Seattle Seahawks.
And now for our Sunday night matchup, we have the San Francisco 49ers taking on the Denver Broncos. And as we all know, Jimmy G is now back under center for the San Francisco 49ers, which makes them a lot more lethal than they were just a week ago. The offense should see a lot more activity. Jimmy G being able to throw the ball a lot better than Trey Lance at this point. I think that's going to help the run game out as well. And the defense should get a lot of momentum to swing their way based on how the offense performs, which I like. But for the Denver Broncos, they're down bad a little bit because they lost Jerry Jeudy, they lost Patrick Surtain II, and now we see Russell Wilson's really just not doing well in this offense with just Courtland Sutton. He's struggling to find other receivers, he's struggling to be himself, and I think the run game is not doing their part in helping alleviate any of that pressure. I expect more from Javonte and Melvin Gordon. Unfortunately, we're just not seeing what we need to. We've seen the Texans almost beat them and the Seahawks beating them. I don't think that they stand a chance against the 49ers.
And last but not least, we have our Monday Night Football matchup, and it is a doozy. We have the NFC East rivals, the Dallas Cowboys, taking on the G-Men, the New York Giants, in MetLife Stadium. This is going to be an interesting matchup because Brian Daboll has these Giants rolling with Daniel Jones as his quarterback. They are 2-0. While there is no Dak Prescott for Dallas, Cooper Rush looked really solid against the Cincinnati Bengals, but then again, it is the Bungles after all. So we'll see what this test is going to be for Cooper Rush and company. Can Ezekiel Elliott get things going? Can CeeDee Lamb get into the mix a little bit more. We saw Noah Brown really ball out last week. Can we see Michael Gallup enter the mix this week? We will see what these questions have in store, but the New York Giants have answers to their questions. We've seen a dynamic offense run through Saquon Barkley. Daniel Jones is making the right reads, making the right calls at this line of scrimmage. He's doing everything in his power, and as the Giants are getting healthier, they're going to be getting Azeez Ojulari back. They're going to be getting Kayvon Thibodeau back. There is going to be a massive upgrade to this defensive line. A 2-0 team getting stronger. I'm taking the Giants in a victory over the Dallas Cowboys on Monday Night Football.
As surprising as it is to see the Giants 2-0 taking on the Cowboys, and for you to say they're going to be 3-0 after this matchup, it's a little surprising, but I agree with you. I think the Giants are just the better team, and they've got all the pieces that are going to be able to take on the Cowboys and beat them.
At the end of the day, these are our predictions, but I want to hear from you guys. Let us know in the comments down below what you think of our predictions. Let us know what you think of our betting advice as well. And if you make any bets based on our advice, be sure to let us know in the comments down below. All right, well, that's going to be all for now. Thank you all for watching. Be sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Hit that notification bell. We go live every single day. That'll be all. Peace and love.